Okay, yeah. So again, we're talking about how you can decide what slang words are you going to make yours and what are you going to leave behind, right? So here are some things that I think you should think about. So the first thing is, where did you hear it first? Was it a movie? Is it a new movie? Is it an old movie? Who said it, right?
Yeah.
Think about where is this coming from? Like, because that's wherever you heard it first, think about, okay, like, do I relate to this person? Does this seem like something that I might say? Is it a movie from the 1950s? That's going to make me question it a little bit, right?
Yeah, because there's definitely a lot of vocabulary from the 50s that's very outdated.
Right.
We've talked about the word swell, and we've talked about those things, so we have to be careful. Yeah. So I like that idea. First of all, where did you hear it? Who said it? Right?
Yeah. Exactly. And what's the next one, Lindsay?
Well, have you heard it in any other places? So are people saying it frequently, or when you look it up and you see the meaning, do you recognize the other ways that people use the words? Right? So, do you hear so what do we mean here, Michelle? What do you mean by that?
Yeah. So basically, if you're looking it up and you look up jonesing and then you see the word, let's say you see like a synonym or something like that, and it's a craving. Somebody writes craving. Like, do you recognize these words? Do you hear those words more frequently? So maybe you're like, oh, well, I haven't heard jonesing, but I looked it up and I see the word craving. Oh, I hear that a lot.
Yeah. And maybe you know how to use craving, so you know how to use jonesing. Right.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. So, yeah. So have you heard it more than once? And then the third thing is, could it be regional? Right. So that could also be something where if where you heard it first, maybe maybe you're watching a show, maybe you're watching Friends or like some show or like a show that takes place in California or wherever. And you think, okay, well, maybe it's a regional thing. So some slang is more popular in certain parts of the country than others. So I think that you should look into this when you're thinking about this new phrase or word. What do you think, Lindsay?
Oh, definitely. And I think that's so important. It's so true. It's going to sound a little weird if you're from California and you visit the South and you hear a slang in the South used, and then you go back to California and you start using it, and it's only used in the southern region of the U.S. I mean, I think the other piece is like making sure you truly understand the meaning fully.
Yeah.
Because like we've seen here, clearly this is a reference to like drug addiction, this jonesing. And I don't think it's going to necessarily label you in any way if you use it, but there are certain slangs that would label you in a certain way if you use them. Like, and also you could be saying something you don't know that you're saying. Right. So making sure you totally get it. Like fully talk to a native speaker. And sometimes native speakers don't even get, I don't even totally get all the slangs and what they mean.
Oh, are you? Oh, I definitely don't. Especially in some, like, this is, I feel like I know I'm, aging, because I'll be like, oh, I don't know what that word that means. And like,
or like, I know there are idioms and slangs that we used to say as kids, and we didn't necessarily know that they're a little bit offensive. And if we don't question those as we get older, we're saying something offensive and we don't know it. So.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. There's a lot of that.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. So, well, what's the fourth point though, Michelle? I mean, this is a deep topic that we could go into another day for sure.
Yeah. The fourth one is, are you willing to take risks? Right. So this is important. I mean, I think, what is the worst that will happen?
Yeah.
Now, of course, you don't want to say something offensive. That's the only thing. You want to make sure it's not something that's going to offend someone. Right. That's tough. So that when you look into it, be sure that it's not something offensive. So, I mean, but if it's not, again, what's the worst that will happen? I think it's worth trying a new phrase or asking a friend about it. So if someone says jonesing to me, if somebody were to just throw that out there, my ears might perk up for a second, but it would sound different to me, but it wouldn't sound bad. And I think the fact that you would be taking a risk is a good thing. So nothing is going to happen, right?
Yeah, exactly.
What do you think, Lindsay?
Well, I totally agree with you, Michelle. I mean, it's kind of the flip side of what we just said, like understanding the meaning, but also when we're learning a new language, we can't understand everything all the time, right? We're always hedging into a zone where we don't know what's going on. Right. And to me, that's kind of the beauty of learning a new language and traveling and exploring cultures. We don't always know everything that's going on, and that is okay. Coming back to connection is our key, right? Here on this show, as long as we can build that connection, that's part of taking risks. That's what, sometimes we have to take risks to build a connection. So I agree. I mean, I think it's okay to